We all like to flex our pocket dumps. Maybe it's a cool new knife you got, a fancy watch, a slick new tactical flashlight, all very cool stuff. But here's the truth. None of that stuff means anything if you're bleeding out in a ditch and your buddy's just standing there like a deer in the headlights going,
somebody call 911.
So today we're talking about one piece of EDC gear that might actually save your life. The trauma kit. And no, I don't mean throwing a few band-aids in a Ziploc. We're talking real gear. Tourniquets, gauze, chest seals, stuff that will actually buy you time. Because when seconds matter, EMS is minutes away. And I promise you, blood loss does not care how tactical your flashlight is. Trauma isn't just a battlefield thing. I hear people all the time when I do these EDC videos.
Well, how do you carry all that stuff? What, do you live in a third world country? Like, what the hell do you think's going on every day?
Car wrecks happen every day. Accidents at the range, power tools in your garage, kitchen knives, you name it. The number one preventable cause in death and trauma is uncontrolled bleeding. And it can kill you in as little as 3 to 5 minutes. EMS response times average 7 to 10 minutes if you're in a good area. The gap between minutes 3 and 10, that's on you. Bottom line, if you care enough to carry a knife every day, you should care enough to carry something that could keep you alive long enough to use the damn thing again. Where to keep kits? Everywhere. The short answer, everywhere. Now, let's be real. You're not going to be strapping a giant med bag to your belt with your car keys. Instead, think layers. Stage kits where it makes sense. In your vehicle, your glove box, center console, in your backpack or your range bag, at home, in your garage, in your kitchen, definitely in your workshop, even in your travel bag when you're on the road. Point is, it doesn't have to be on your body 24/7, but you should never be far from one. But before we get talking about some of these different levels of trauma kits we're going to go over, let's take a second to talk about some other really cool folks in the EDC space and thank some of the sponsors of the channel this year. You don't want to skip forward on this one because we're actually going to do a really cool giveaway with one of these sponsors. First up, we have my friends over at Big Idea Design, and we've talked about these guys dozens of times on the channel over the years. They make all things EDC. Badass pins, which actually we just did a collaboration with them with their EDC fountain pen. Really badass pen already, but then we put a little Sire stank on it to make it even a little better. Pocket tools, fixed blades, folders, watches, backpacks, pretty much one-stop shop for all things EDC. Also, just a really cool group of guys over there at Big Idea Design, so definitely check those guys out. Give them a little love in the links below. And last but certainly not least, the good folks at Navs. Another awesome team of folks over there making just badass knives for all you blade junkies out there. Really awesome fixed blades, especially if you're into like pocket carrying, some great ones. Also the iconic Lander series of folding knives, which I still say is an industry standard for bang for your buck. So much so that the last collab I did was actually with Navs on the Lander 2. We did a Sire signature version of that. And we are gonna be giving one of these away in this video. We only have a few of these guys left, so we wanted to get a giveaway in before they went the way of the dodo and were gone forever. I will chuck a link down below in the description. Just click on that and that will take you to the giveaway page that has all the details. Click the link, it'll take you to the landing page, you sign up for their newsletter, and then in 2 weeks they will draw a winner and we will give away one of these awesome Lander 2 to the lucky winner. Big thanks to both the guys at Big Idea and at Navs for sponsoring the channel this year and supporting what we do. All right. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Now, level one, what I call like the minimalist kit, the slimmest option, just the bare essentials. You could literally fit this thing anywhere. At minimum, I would suggest you have a tourniquet of some nature, and I recommend either a cat or a SOF-T tourniquet. Both of those are really good, proven, field proven for years and years. And some like North American Rescue compressed gauze, or really any compressed gauze. I prefer the Z-Pack ones over the rolled, but 6 of one, half a dozen the other. They're small, they take up very little space, and they're used for packing wounds. Now, a quick note on gauze. Generally speaking, you have two types. You have your normal gauze, and then you have your hemostatic gauze. Some of them are made by a company called Quick Cloth. There's some called Combat Gauze. Needless to say, it is basically a normal gauze that is impregnated with a hemostatic agent to help with blood clotting. Now, I've seen some studies, like there's one from, I think it's the National Institute of Health. When they tested these, there's very little difference in stopping bleeding between these two. That's up for debate, do your own research there, but I will say they at least do a similar job. This kind of gauze is gonna run you anywhere from $30 to $50 for a thing. You can get these for $3 to $5. So not that there's anything wrong with these, they're actually great, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have them, but when you're putting together a bunch of kits, price for value, you can get a ton of these, throw a bunch of these in a bunch of different kits for little to nothing. This is gonna cost you a second mortgage on your house to buy 15 or 20 of these things. Do your own research, but that's the difference between regular packing gauze, hemostatic gauze, and why in most of my kits, I go with these. You can throw some gloves in there if you want to protect you from bloodborne pathogens. At the end of the day, if your buddy's bleeding out, you're not gonna worry about if you get a little blood on you. And from all the medics I've talked to, your hands and your skin, as long as you don't have any cuts or anything, do a pretty good job at keeping you safe. It's definitely not a bad idea to have some gloves, but like I said, if you're trying to keep it as compact as possible, that would be one of the first things. But again, this is just some guy on the internet, not medical advice, so don't get mad at me if you catch something if you don't wear gloves. With just a tourniquet and some packing gauze, you can do a lot of work. You can stop a lot of bleeds, a lot of emergencies, save a lot of lives. You got your tourniquet for extremities, if there's bad bleeds, arterial wounds, stuff like that, and then your compression gauze for areas that you can't tourniquet. Like, I hope you guys, obviously, if you get hit in the neck, you can't tourniquet I hope you guys know that. But if you don't, you can't tourniquet the neck, and you can't tourniquet junctional sites, your torso, stuff like that. So that's when some kind of packing gauze come into play, because the important thing is to stop the bleeding. And with these two things, you can do a lot. These guys are slim enough to fit in your pocket. Well, unless you're wearing skinny jeans, and then good luck. Can we actually, let's just take a quick break to talk about, skinny jeans used to be something that I only saw like hipsters and people like that wearing. They were real popular over there for a while. I'm really glad they're not as popular anymore. But anyway, I have seen a scary growing trend though of tactical outdoorsy type guys wearing, like, you know, the kind of pants I wear, like Vertex pants or maybe some 511s or cool pants, you know, outdoor style pants. Very, very snug. And look, I get it. You've been crushing leg day, you got big thighs, I understand. But if I can tell if you're circumcised or not through your pants, maybe size up a size.
It's the pleats. It's actually an optical illusion. It's the pattern on the pants. It's not flattering in the crotchal region. I'm actually taking them back right now.
Just a friendly suggestion, not a criticism, but just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm way off topic. Let's get back. You can buy a lot of these things pre-made in something like this Dark Angel Medical, which we'll probably talk about that one in a minute. This is really small, but this one actually has chest seals and some other things in it that make it a little more capable than just this. But you can buy little pre-made kits, or you know what? You can get like a small like Magpul DACA pouch, something like this, or one of these little DACA pouches Magpul makes. I like to get bright colors when possible because, well, you want to easily be able to find a med kit with a bright color. Being super tactical isn't always good if you can't find the damn thing. If you don't know where your kit is, congratulations, you don't have a kit. Also, just these little cheapies from Amazon work really good. Just something to keep a couple things in. Hell, you can even vacuum seal this, right? So if you have a vacuum sealer, you put your tourniquet and some gauze together, vacuum seal it, make a little cut in the seam so you can easily rip it open if things are quick, you don't have to get a knife out or whatever. You have a very compact little kit. You can throw these damn things everywhere, in glove boxes, in your bag. Depending on your pants, you might even be able to fit these in your pocket. Just super portable, easy, cheap, and could definitely save somebody's life. Moving over to a level 2 kit, still very compact, not bulky, but more complete. With this one, you're gonna include all the same stuff that we had previously. You're gonna have your tourniquet, which in this little bag, again, this is just a little cheapy bag I got from Amazon. You're gonna have your tourniquet on the bottom. This one is a SOF-T. In this one, we have a little more space. So in here, I have some trauma shears. I have an Israeli bandage, which if you guys have never checked these things out, these are really, really great. I've got some Hyfin chest seals in here, some just normal Band-Aid gauze, sponge pad, whatever you want to call them, a slightly bigger abdominal pad. I still got my compressed gauze in here, and then in this one, I have a nasopharyngeal airway. I have a really hard time saying that, but NPA for short. Make sure you're trained with these things if you're gonna carry it. But honestly, even if you're not trained, carrying it's not a horrible thing. Don't try to use it if you're not trained, but maybe somebody nearby knows how to use it. So not a bad thing to throw in your kit. And that all fits in this tiny little bag. With all this stuff, you're super capable. I actually have 2 of the compressed gauze. So in this little bag, 2 things of compressed gauze, 2 different types of gauze pads, chest seals, NPA, Israeli bandage, trauma shears, and a tourniquet. Little bitty bag. You can fit this anywhere. And this is a very capable kit. Another example is this kit right here. Again, another cheapie off Amazon. I think these were both like 10 or 12 bucks a piece for the packs. And then you just pack it with whatever you want. This one opens up, you can organize it a little better. This one, I've got the tourniquet on the inside, Israeli bandage, more chest seals, gauze, compression bandages, all that stuff, all in a little pouch that is very easy to pack up and you can fit just about anywhere. You could also vacuum seal kits this size. You could get you a vacuum seal bag, put all this stuff together, vacuum seal it. Don't even have to spend the expense of buying one of these bags, and that keeps it super tight and compressed. Some of these bags are also getting to the size where if you wanted to, you could include some less life-saving stuff, more day-to-day injuries, Band-Aids, steri strips, maybe some pain relievers, anti-diarrheal stuff like that. This is kind of getting outside of what we're talking about today, which is trauma kit, so it makes it a little outside the scope of the video, but if you have room in a kit, doesn't hurt to have it. I would say that if you're gonna put these things in your car, have them somewhere you can reach from your driver's seat, back of your headrest, your glove box, center console, because if you can't reach it without dislocating your shoulder, it doesn't count. Also, if it's under your seat, perfectly fine, but no, you're gonna be fighting for space with that French fry from 2019 that, strangely, if it was from McDonald's, still looks just like a fresh French fry. It never really changes, rots, decays. I don't know why their food doesn't rot. It just kind of stays the same forever. And we eat that shit. For a pre-made kit, this little Dark Angel one, and I've did this in a video before, it's pretty cool because this thing is tiny and it actually includes a lot of the same stuff, but in a very, very small package. So in this little kit, vacuum sealed, you've got some trauma shears, elastics on the side here to hold a tourniquet. And then inside the kit, in this little bag, you've got 1 thing of quick clot bleeding control dressing, 1 pair of ventilated seals, 1 compression bandage, and a pair of nitrile gloves, all in this little tiny thing. So this kind of shows you the power of vacuum sealing. But the guys at Dark Angel have put it together and then stuck it in this tiny little nylon pouch. Shears go on this side, tourniquet goes on this side, and I mean, very, very small. It's got some Alice or Molly webbing on the back, so you could put this on a belt if you want to wear it to the range or on some other kind of gear, backpack, but really basically very similar capabilities of a kit like this, but just like the smallest, most compact version of it. These little first aid things from Amazon, I think I got a 5 or 6 pack of these little nylon things from Amazon for like 12 bucks. And they do pretty well, man. I can fit a tourniquet in here, some gauze, Israeli bandage. I mean, you know, you can do some work with just these little guys. Pack a bunch of these with some stuff, just put one every damn where. Now, next up is what I would consider like a level 3 kit. And by the way, these are levels I made up. These aren't actual terms like level 2. They might be, I don't know, but this is just the way I rank them. This is like a full kit. This is your big setup, your garage, your workshop, your kitchen, where space isn't really an issue. I have one of these that I keep on the back of the seat of my truck. I have Molly on the back seats of my truck, and I keep this attached in there all the time. But this is when space isn't as much an option and you have a little more room for a more complete kit. More people in your house means more supplies, and your home kit space isn't really as important, so why not make it more capable? Home accidents are why half of us know what the inside of an ER looks like. In your garage, you have chainsaws, table saws, lawn mowers, but sure, no med kit? What could possibly go wrong?
I did not see that coming!
And look, I've done this before, so I'm not judging. If your idea of a garage kit is grab a dirty rag and squeeze, you might want to reevaluate your med kit situation for your garage. With something this size, you're scaling way up, right? You have room for multiple tourniquets, multiple Israeli bandages, chest seals, gloves, trauma shears, nasopharyngeal airways. One thing that I've actually really want to add that I don't have yet is one of those IFAK things for folks if they're choking. Hell, you could even go all out and get an AED if that's something that's within your budget and you have training on it. MyMedic is another company that I actually really like, and I'm not sponsored by any of these companies, by the way. None of this, I bought all this myself. I was not sent any of it. I'm not sponsored by any of it, so before you guys say shit about that. MyMedic is a company that I've been a fan of for a while. This is one of their MyFAK kits, think this is the large, if I'm not mistaken, but this thing is super capable. I mean, we've got everything in here, okay? We've got tourniquets, we've got chest seals, we've got airways, cold compresses, tapes, CPR masks, eye wash, space blankets, all kinds of different gauze and pads and everything else. I mean, all the way down to more, like we were talking about earlier, smaller, normal boo-boo, you know, hurt yourself in the house type stuff, Band-Aids, which by the way, and again, not sponsored, MyMedic's Band-Aids are the best damn and if you guys ever watched the live stream, I was going on about this the other day. Their Band-Aids are the best Band-Aids I've ever seen. They're like super thin, but also very stretchy and also strong, and they stick really, you guys out there that have used the MyMedic Band-Aids, you'll know, I think they call it Super Skin Band-Aids or something. Yeah, Super Skin. These things are fantastic. But anyway, this video isn't about Band-Aids, it's about trauma kits. But in a kit this size, you have a lot more room to have multiples of things and a little more capable supplies. Still not very big, compact, very easy size to keep in your truck. Keep a couple of these in your house. Hell, you could even go crazy and go more up in your house to something the size of a backpack. And like I said, include the stuff like the IFAKs, AEDs, who knows? The world's your oyster. Look, if your garage fridge has more beer in it than your garage medical gear, maybe your priorities are off. Bigger kit, bigger peace of mind, and let's be honest, bigger excuse to buy more gear. Because we all like gear. We're gearheads. If you're watching this video, you're probably a bit of a gearhead. I'm just saying. Pre-made kits versus homemade kits. Pre-made kits are great. This is a pre-made kit. It's packed, I think this is the pro version of it. It's packed by professionals. It takes out all the guesswork. Everything's one and done. DIY kits save you money and let you customize. Both work perfectly well. Don't overthink it too much. The only bad option is not having one at all. Think of pre-made kits are like fast food, quick, easy, and you don't have to think about it. Building your own, that's more like meal prep for dudes that like bleeding control. One thing I do want to say that does need to definitely be included in this video is gear doesn't make you a medic, training does. Buying a bunch of gear that you have no clue how to use is like wiping before you poop. It just doesn't make sense. Take a stop the bleed class, learn the basics, tourniquet application, wound packing, chest seal, stuff like that. A lot of places offer the classes for free. If they're not free, there's plenty of them out there that are very, very inexpensive. Get trained on the gear. If you've got a whole shitload of gear without any training on how to use it, you're just fucking LARPing. Carrying a knife makes you feel prepared. Carrying a trauma kit makes you actually prepared. So stage one of these things in your car, in your home, your bag. Get the gear, get the training. Because when things go sideways, that little pouch might be the only reason you or somebody you care about gets another shot at tomorrow. Knives might impress your friends, but trauma kits keep your friends alive. All right, folks, hope that helps you guys out. I feel like the med kit thing was an important thing to touch on because as much as we talk about gear, I think this is one of the most important pieces of gear anybody should have. Even if you're not into firearms, if you're not into knives, you're not into any of that kind of stuff, having a med kit is applicable to everybody, right? Everybody gets hurt. People get in car wrecks. There's accidents at the house. Something, regardless whether you're into any other kind of EDC, I think this is a handy piece of information and something everybody should have. Side note on when you buy gear, and again, I don't have any kind of relationship with these companies, but you probably, like these pouches and stuff are perfectly okay to get on Amazon. It's just a pouch, who gives a shit? But the actual medical gear itself, be mindful on Amazon because Amazon does have some fake stuff. I would use reputable places that you know have good gear. North American Rescue, Rescue Essentials is another one that I think I've used. I'll link some of those things down below. And again, I don't have any affiliation with those people, but they're companies that I've worked with in the past that seem to be good, reputable companies. A lot of people recommend them online. And I'll list out the different components in here. So for you guys that aren't familiar with any of this stuff, you can go looky-loo and either buy a pre-made one like this one from MyMedic or build yourself out one. Either way. If you did like this, feel free to smash that like button. That always helps us out. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. We'd love to have you on board. Hope everyone is having a fantastic week, and we will see you in the next video. And I know, these aren't near as cool as that new $400 ProTech or whatever kind of fancy knife you want. And I get it, I love those things too. But if you bleed out, you're not going to be able to use that fancy new knife. So, food for thought.